GMM, we've got Near Protocol, obviously, Matic, Bitcoin's there at number 6. STG, not really sure what Stargate Finance is, but Solana's on here, BNB, Jasmy, we've covered a couple of times on the channel. Cardano is ranking at 11th for trending, and I think a lot of that might come down to stable coins and stuff that's going on the Cardano ecosystem at the moment. We've got Face Down, we've got GST, XCH, Tribe, Moon River, obviously a one that we called out massively back in 2021, and it's doing incredibly well. Cello, Bitcoin Cash, we've got NYM and Ape NFT as well as the top 20 there. I'm not going to go through any of the others, but pretty much common ones that you'd expect to kind of see in your trending section. So I thought that was an interesting kind of one to kind of take away and to kind of get into. We're just going to jump into Bitcoin for a sec as well. So obviously we know what's trending. We know that Bitcoin, I think, was number 6, was it? Bitcoin, yeah, number 6. So no one's really, overly interested. They're probably just checking it to see what Bitcoin's up to get a good idea as to what the market is up to, which is why I tend to do Bitcoin videos, not because I'm a huge investor in BTC. I'm not. I do hold a little bit of it. It's in cold storage. So in the case of Bitcoin here, I do expect some kind of B-wave bounce, but we've got to come down first. But essentially, we're seeing more and more BTC leave exchanges. This is something I've been talking about for months, and it's good to see that some of the mainstream crypto media outlets are finally actually communicating this as well, because this is something that we've seen over 2.4 million Bitcoin leave the exchanges since January 2022, right? For me, when I take a look at the structure over a long period of time, it's a bullish structure, not a bearish structure, and therefore I see this as a bull run. And what we're seeing here is data that also confirms such a statement, right? We're not seeing data that suggests $25,000. That is just hopium, because if Bitcoin goes down there, the buying pressure is going to be insanely high anyway. That's a big deal. Now, we can go a little bit deeper than that. We obviously talk about the balance on exchanges. We're a multi-year low. People think that you have to have a lot of money going in order to have a huge market cap and to drive that price, right? Essentially, it's not. It's actually really, really simple. I mean, market cap itself is a simple calculation of the last sold price multiplied by the circulating supply, right? It has nothing to do with money going into a project, and it has nothing to do with liquidity. The thing that we really should be focusing in on are the more simple terms. It's supply and demand, right? The supply is shrinking, and all we now need is an increase in the demand. Now, the demand isn't there at the moment, and that's for a very good and key reason. Just take a look at oil as another example. You can see what's been going on with the fuel pricing, specifically as there's a shortage of supply. And obviously, as the prices start to steadily move up, people naturally kind of increase the demand for that asset because they are worried that they're going to miss the boat and it's going to continue to rise, and they are going to have to pay more for an asset, or they are not going to see that asset appreciating in the way that they want it. So ultimately, the two things feed each other, and it starts with a squeeze on the supply, and that's exactly what we see here with BTC. And it's been going on for months, but it is good to finally see that this is being spoken about a little bit wider than just us. Now, we can go a little bit deeper than this. If we come over to the addresses and we actually take a look at the number of active addresses, that's actually decreasing, and that's an interesting metric. We take that into consideration with this chart. Now, this chart is showing us an increase of addresses with over 1,000 Bitcoin. Well, that's important because it was a little while ago that we saw a decrease, and even earlier than that. If I actually go ahead and extend this out a little bit, and we can take a look at where these addresses really started to ramp up was after the pandemic crash in 2020, a very similar area that Chris and myself were accumulating a lot of crypto, right? Buying it down right down here at the rock bottom area and then selling it right at the top. Now, what are you witnessing? Well, you're witnessing not only Bitcoin leaving the exchanges by the absolute hundreds of thousands daily. What are we witnessing is basically the whales accumulating and stacking up more than 1,000 BTC per wallet address, okay? And this is now increasing so much sharper than we saw previously, okay? Again, I don't think that many people have been talking about it, so do communicate this out to as many people as you can by sharing this video or whatever you need to do. Well, that is simply because there isn't demand there, okay? So the supply can shrink, but if the demand is also shrinking, as in there's a narrative out there not to buy or not to short the market and all that kind of stuff, what you're actually witnessing here is basically leverage players getting wrecked, and as a result of that, the price can basically be pushed in either direction as per the whales and institutionals choices, right? They want to push the price up, they can push the price up there by manipulating the the supply on the exchanges. And right now they are gearing up for one hell of a run to the upside. Now, of course, we can shoot this back out into I'll go up into our weekly time frame, because I do think there's a lot here to kind of be said and to be spoken about. So on our weekly time frame, we are tracking the bullish sentiment and structure pretty much from these low points of December 2018. The pandemic crash in March 2020 was our wave 2 low. Up here is our wave 3. I've spoken about this for a very long time. That's nothing new. And of course, we are looking at moving up to $100,000 plus, right? Potentially higher than that as well. The squeeze on the supply right now is potentially telling me that we're going to end up with a much higher than $100,000. We haven't broken the structure. There's nothing bearish about this. All of the patterns here are corrective patterns, and the trend-based patterns are all intact, and they are all pointing up rather than down. So what does that mean? Well, it means essentially that we're in a pretty good spot. So whether you want to call it a bear market, you can do it whatever you call it, whatever you want. So with all of that said, and we know all of that kind of stuff, and we kind of have all that under our belts, let's jump into a couple of altcoins, right? Because there are some interesting things that are going on, and we get a lot of flack for talking about what we think are going to be absolutely insane projects, right? And these are potentially hated on right now because people invested too late and they got burnt. But nonetheless, you only make a loss if you sell, in my opinion. But that's all it is. I think it's going to do incredibly well. Here we have the 5-wave structure coming up. We're looking for some kind of correction to finish down here. Again, I've got this pinpointed at about 87.6 to 90 cent before we start rallying on up again. And again, I think if I jump up into our weekly, you get the idea here. We are still tracking that 5th wave as per Bitcoin. And I do think this is going to absolutely smash people's faces when they start to realize exactly what is going on here with Cardano. And they are a bit too late to the party. Maybe they bought at the top here, sold at the bottom, and now they call it a scam coin or whatever. Essentially, there's a lot of FUD out. So if that's you, join us in Discord. We'll help you out for sure. VeChain, we still think is going to do incredibly well. We are, of course, tracking an ABC up, an ABC complete down, and now we're looking for that next leg upwards. I still think this is going to do absolutely insanely. So fuck it, seriously, VeChain, it's going to be one of those coins that just surprises people straight out of the gate. Again, lots of people now very frustrated by it. People don't understand why and all of that kind of good stuff. But essentially, I do think this is going to be moving on so much higher. And everything that they're doing from a fundamental point of view is literally it's going to change this space for the better. So watch out. There's some big things happening on Harmony One, in my opinion. Zilliqa, we obviously know about. This obviously has the ABC up, the ABC down, just like VeChain. And obviously, we've started to see that impulsive structure go upwards. I would be surprised if this stays below $5 by the end of the bull run. I think it's going to go absolutely insane with an impulsive structure. However, that is pure speculation at the moment. There is nothing here to confirm that you're going to be moving up to those high levels. I see lots of people talk about cup and handles and things like that, but essentially all of that is basically long term. They'll be talking about completing those patterns way in 2025 and not for this particular cycle. That range is the corrective zone I have marked out for Zilliqa. From there, and now you see the polar opposite. A lot of people are excited about it. They FOMO'd in, and they're not going to be surprised, or they're going to be very surprised by what they see happen next. But nonetheless, Zilliqa is going to be doing incredibly well, in my opinion. Now, ultimately, I think that's going to come into a conclusion. A settlement that was backed on next to no information or no factual information whatsoever as far as I could see. And it was actually a really fortunate time if you were following us back then. We were buying that dip. Who wanted, basically what we saw is basically we were buying XRP right down at these low points, right? March 2020, we rode it up into the high points up towards, November 2020. The lawsuit happened, but at that time, at that high point just here, people were complaining. They wanted cheaper XRP. They wanted the price to come down. And well, Jay Clayton did that for you. He caused billions of dollars worth of damage, and the price of XRP fell, right? And so the SEC basically, hurt a lot of retail investors, the ones that they're supposed to protect, by crashing the price and causing billions of dollars worth of damage. Now, essentially, that 17-cent XRP there was a fantastic opportunity that we all wanted here, right? There was no other outcome in our heads that would basically make the SEC successful in this mission. The lawsuit itself has actually delayed XRP, it's hindered them, and it has suppressed the price during this cycle. This B wave is a critically important B wave because it is a triangle. A wave, this A wave is not impulsive, it is called corrective. This does mean, though, that we're going to get probably an explosive and impulsive move upwards and towards $9.97. And I think multi-cycle 2025 XRP is going to be, you know, vastly higher than we've ever kind of would imagine it being. Okay, and again, market cap has no bearing on that. It is literally supply demand. Many people think that XRP is going to, I think it's like 589 or 587 or whatever that number is, over $1,000, $10,000, whatever you believe XRP is going to go to, that's on you. I could be wrong on that, and we might see this drag out even longer, but ultimately the SEC cannot afford to lose it or lose the case. It is a critically important case to set precedent for the crypto space. So settlement is probably the most likely scenario. We said that for a very long time. So yeah, for XRP, this is going to be a really big move. But again, we are talking multiple weeks into multiple months before we actually see these things get completed. But nonetheless, the structure is here and we are looking pretty good overall. So guys, I'm going to leave that video right there. There's a lot of things I've been talking about. What coins have been trending right now, which is really interesting to get an idea as to what people are actually currently looking into. The background of the data that sits behind Bitcoin. So much accumulation has been going on that this is only going to lead to one thing, and that is a significant price rise on BTC at a very rapid rate. Bitcoin has not been this low on exchanges since 2018, and we all know what happened there. Guys, if you found this video useful and informative, hit the like button. I really do appreciate that.